Hello, everyone, and welcome to our very first episode of Business Exit and Beyond, where freedom begins. I'm Josie, and I'm really excited to be here with my husband, David Fisher. David is not just my partner in life, but also a seasoned expert in the business world. He has 3 decades of business and 4 decades of construction. Along the way, he has had multiple businesses in different countries, and today we'll dive into some of his insights. So he has been the co-author of a book called Secrets of the Construction Industry and wrote a chapter on empowerment. And more recently, he released an ebook called Selling Your Business for Sustainable Success. Before we dive into this topic, David, let's start with an important question. Why did we decide to do this podcast?
Well, that's a great question. After the book of empowerment, that was really the first step. How do we empower business owners for selling their business? And so that's really where it all started from. When we went out to discover that, we found that there wasn't anything out there. So we started looking at how can we build a community.
Yeah, that's great. That sounds fantastic, and I couldn't agree more. So let's jump right into it. Today's conversation explores some of the valuable experiences. Reflecting on the beginnings, David, can you tell me about your first business in Brisbane and the lessons you learned when it had to close?
Well, that's an interesting one. That one started all the way back into the 80s, actually. And we had that one for 10 years as a small builder. So very much everything orientated around me, the business owner. And as we had little kids in that, we decided to go back to New Zealand. After 10 years of that and very busy being the owner-operator and with a few people working for me, and we decided to close it down. And we really didn't know what else to do but to close it down. The account said we were crazy because we were doing very well, but that's what we did.
What was it like writing a chapter on empowerment in the book Secrets of the Construction Industry, and what inspires you?
That's a really interesting question from someone that's been in project management, who's very good at writing reports, but not so good at actually writing something that in the third sense, as they would say. So in that process of discovering that what we did, how as much as about empowering someone is disempowering. So that's all part of what we, in the leadership, as we would train people within construction. But it's very relevant to all of our lives. So whether you're a business owner and you've got your team, how do you empower them as well? So that was all part of that book that sort of opened up the journey of exploration and discovery.
That's great. And then you wrote an ebook also, and called Selling Your Business for Sustainable Success. What do you hope readers will gain from that ebook?
Same thing, another discovery. That book there is, like, it's this big journey. When you start talking to so many people out there, they really, like myself in the beginning, had no idea what to do to even start that process of selling a business. And so the intent of the ebook is to give someone those first steps. And even in this community that we are here now, what was the first steps that we do? And we'll elaborate that on later, but that was really what it's all about, is to help you on that journey.
Great. Okay. So throughout businesses, there's always the handling of regret. Why do you think some business owners feel regret after selling, and what advice do you have to help them avoid this?
I think that obviously I've only sold one business. The first one I closed down, the next one I sold to one of our partners. At that time, I had something else to move on to with different partners. Not only were we in construction, but we're actually in development as well. So there wasn't actually any regrets for that particular one because I had something to go to. When we just closed the door, the first one, that was kind of like closing out my whole world type of situation. That was my identity. So I struggled for a while and actually went and worked for someone else for a period of a couple of years in that journey.
Yep. So there's an importance on resilience as well. So how do you think staying resilient helps when navigating the challenges of running a business?
Well, yes. And especially today, that's a beautiful question. And let's go a little bit deeper on that. So we've all got the challenges of today, staff. We've always had challenges of staff. But today it's particularly difficult to get the right sort of people, the people that are keen and all the rest of it. So we've been very blessed over the years of having some really good people. And today they're still out there, but it's a lot more competitive than ever what it was before. So the environment needs to be very good. So we look very carefully at how do people, the synergy, I would say, of creating community within your business. So instead of it just being nuts and bolts about dollars and cents, which is very relevant, don't get me wrong, it still is very much about how the owner and their management really empower their staff. And I'm talking from not just their leaders and their staff, but everyone all the way down. Because the greatest way to grow is ideally internally. And if you can do that, they understand your culture of what you've created and how you look after one another. So there's a lot of dynamics. Obviously, we can go deeper into other things like systems and all the rest of it. But probably the greatest dynamic to start off with is about culture. So if someone is ever looking at your business to buy it, they are looking at that because they want a company to work without them being in it. They might look at it, but they want the dynamics of all of that part. And I think that is the key to really putting a from an average company to a fantastic company.
Right. Yep. And profitable strategies. When we go into that area, can you share a couple of key strategies from your own ebook that helps ensure selling businesses for a good profit? Because that's on everybody's.
Yes, 100%. Absolute. So just as we'd covered before, systems are very important. So as I was talking about on that first business I had, which was totally dependent on myself, there was really nothing to sell. That's the reality of it. So if we want to get that maximum value, we need something that can run without you. So a great test for that, just think of yourself. What's a great test? For example, we went off to Europe, and if you could leave your company for 6 weeks and head off somewhere overseas or wherever you would like to go, that is a great thing to test your business to see the resilience of it. And when you return, how profitable was it? Was it so dependent on you that the profitability kind of disappeared, or did it grow in that same time?
Yeah, right. It's good to go away and not having to think about business, more profitable.
Yeah.
That's the dream, hey? So there's always common pitfalls, right? To avoid them, what are some common pitfalls to watch out for when selling a business? And how does your ebook help address these?
There's some of the greatest pitfalls people look at is you have to go and compare yourself with the rest of the market, because we all get our business, I'm just saying hypothetically, is worth $1 million, but it might only really be in the market worth $500,000. And so taking aside all of that, we really have to look at our other competitors. What is their edge? Are we unique in the market, or are we just like the rest of our competitors, just competing solely on turnover and our margin shrink? Obviously, if we want to expand, we just turn over more, but we have to discount at times and different things like that. So that has a huge impact about looking at where you're placed in the marketplace.
Right. Okay, so the next question is about planning with partners. So how can business owners plan effectively with their partners to make the selling process smooth and successful?
So your business partners, you really need to get on the same page, because if you've got different age groups or different things like that, so all I can do is use the example that in my case, which was a business in New Zealand. So we actually had 5 businesses that were tied together. So initially we just started off with two partners, and then we landed up with a more junior partner later on. And that was who actually I sold my portion to. So in that particular case, we look at all of those years of building that company. And so for me, that legacy to continue on still continues on. So that was very important to me because all of those years of hard work, and obviously it was very much part of how we grew and how we, sustainable business that we had, that would continue for that period of time. So even though I did have another business to go to, we all had to sit around the table. So the more senior partner that was there from in that case, wasn't excited about the whole process. So it did take some time. It took about 8 months for that transition to happen. And we all walked away as friends. And that was the most important part. So we still did business together in a different format. So it's really about working that relationship and the benefits or, there's a little bit of compromise that goes on. It's not just the dollars and cents. It's the relationship that you continue. The last thing you want to do is spend all of those years and then all of a sudden walk out the door and you can't talk to each other. And that would be a sad situation.
Yeah. And then you got to cross the road when you see them coming, and it's lovely. So what should business owners look for to know their business is ready to be sold as a valuable asset?
Right. That's another very good question as well. By the time you've gone through those steps of where you are in the marketplace, where the dependency on the business owner has been removed, as we were talking about with the test of going away for 6 weeks, all of those parts start looking at what it's worth. We all need to get professionals in at that point because they can look at it from a market analytic way. So they look at like where it is. So the valuers they take a market snapshot. So they're looking at all the businesses around it. They know that. So they're not guessing it. So we can all guess and think our business is worth 3 times more than what it is. And there's lots of things about goodwill and everything like that. But really the valuer looks at it from we'll just call it an economic point of view.
True, yeah. We always think our assets are worth a lot more, and we're not always objective, are we?
No, absolutely not.
So finally, what exciting new plans do you have on the horizon now that, even with the ebook out, but what are some other projects that you have going?
Well, here we are starting like I say now, this is our very first podcast. And both of us now are under the brand name of JD. So obviously we've got Josie and we've got David. And so we've pulled that together because as we've been going on this journey for the last 2 years, we've discovered that we want to do this together. So we've talked to a lot of people in the space, and they've all seemed to be in the same sort of predicament where they don't know where they're going. And it's not easy. So we're building a community, a meetup community as well, and starting in Brisbane, and and an online one. So we want to really reach out to the people initially where we can get them informed about their options. Because in our research of all of that, there isn't a lot. You can go to the business brokers and obviously they look at that and their job is solely to sell the business. And they do that well. Then you've got the accountants who look at yours from that point of view and they look at typically a model number. And you've got a whole lot of other different consultants and advisors that go through that process. So our idea is that if we all collaborate together, where we build a community of business owners that want to exit, and the reason why we call it business exit and beyond is because it's the beyond part as well. So we can help you definitely set up your business so it's streamlined and ready to sell. But there's a lot of people, as we were talking about identity before, where the identity is in their business, which is totally understandable. That's totally, and my identity was always in construction for 45 years now. So we all understand that process of moving forward. So that's the main reason why we've really got behind this, is to have a safe platform, a safe community online and in person. And the in-person ones will be in Brisbane. And eventually we will move our way to Melbourne and Sydney. And we'd love to go back, being a Kiwi at heart, to Auckland. Obviously, that's the main part, and maybe eventually even Christchurch. But that's our intention, is to build a community where people can come to us. It's a safe place to find out what their next step is.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why it's beyond, hey, it's not just the local. So it's really exciting. So that wraps up our first episode of Business Exit and Beyond. So David, thank you so much for sharing your stories and tips with us. It's wonderful to hear really all about your journey from starting businesses to writing books. Truly inspiring. So thanks for that. So to our listeners, thank you for joining us today. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to our podcast and don't forget to check out David's ebook. We'll have the links down below for you for more information. You can also visit our website below. We appreciate your support and look forward to bringing you more insightful conversations. And until next time, take care and keep exploring new possibilities. Goodbye for now.
Goodbye for now from JD. That's the easiest way to remember. Josie and David. JD.
Bye for now.
Bye for now.